Today I thought I'd show you guys how I made my arrow shafts. These are made from poplar. I've been shooting poplar arrows since I've been making self bows, and I've made hickory, I've made maple, I've made ash. I always come back to poplar. A little easier to work with, a little more consistent, I think, in weight, and I've got quite a bit of it. So let's talk a little bit about how I make them. Might give you guys some ideas. I start with a hickory board, obviously. I'm using rough sawn, so I plane this edge so I can see the grain. I want that grain pretty straight from one end to the other. So first thing I do is plane that, check the grain, make sure it's good. If it's not, I don't use it. Next thing I do is split that board right down the center. That way I'm following the grain as well. I use this edge, true it up on the table saw, and then I cut them into 3/8 by 3/8 square stock. You can see I rounded these on the 2x72, but you can sharpen them with a knife or whatever just so they fit in the drill better. Sometimes you might want to do this end as well. Now, you can also simply do it with the old block plane way. Just keep doing that all the way around till it's square, or till it's round rather. And that works. Takes a little bit longer, but I'll show you a newer way I worked up. It's for making, maybe a dozen or two arrows a year, whatever. It's not like the other methods you see on my website with using the router or the 2x72 grinder. Those ways will work, it's just it takes some time to set up, and if you're only making a dozen or two arrows, sometimes this is just as quick, and I wanted to try it anyhow. I used the metal plate, which I'll show in a bit. I drilled a series of holes, then I cut some teeth in it with the Dremel tool, and that's where my arrow shafts have been coming from. You can see this one here, I started to bare shaft tune it. I've got a self knock in there. I like the self knocks just because I don't have to buy anything except for the sinew if I don't have any, but you can use thread. Artificial sinew, which is what this is. I cut that groove on the bandsaw, although you can cut it with almost any hacksaw, regular saw, back saw. And then I've got this little file here that goes in the drill, and I round that off and I cut it so it just snaps onto my string. Obviously, if you don't care if it snaps on, you can make it a little bit bigger. You can V it out like some of the Indians used to do, however you want, pretty much. So we'll move on to showing you the arrow cut. So this is just a scrap piece of metal I took, and I drilled a series of holes from 7/16 down to the last one is actually 5/16. I don't use that much. Matter of fact, I haven't used it at all on this particular piece of steel. Cut that every size drill I had right up, and then went ahead and made the shafts. Now I know if you watch how some other guys do this, they actually cut or drill this hole first, but I don't know. I found this way, kind of liked it, and I happen to have this little needle nose drill here, or needle nose file. Works really well. And it puts that little notch in there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chamfer this top edge. And then I'll show you how I widen this out and test it on my bowstring. I'm going to use the 2x72 grinder. Obviously not every one of you guys is going to have one. Although I highly recommend you get one if you can, because they're handy as all get out. But you can obviously just use a piece of sandpaper or whatever. But I'll show you how I do it. And I will say, for anything that you need a rasp, put a 36 grit sandpaper on a 2x72 grinder, and it's about the best rasp you can get. But I'm just gonna do that. And you have to obviously be careful. Now, to widen that and adjust it, I don't even turn it on. I just do that. And I eyeball it to try to get it centered. It's close enough for my eyeball. It's probably close enough for anything I'll need. And then I just wrap it with artificial sinew or thread or whatever, and it's ready to shoot. As you see, as we do this, it's really not made for production work. If you're going to make dozens and dozens of arrows a year, probably you won't want to use this method. But it works pretty well for that a dozen or two, or maybe even 3, depending on how much time you have. Obviously, if you've made arrows before, you know it's not a fast process anyhow, so you just got to enjoy the ride. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope it gives you some ideas maybe, and maybe you'll even come up with something a little bit better that will help me improve. Give me a shout. Like and subscribe if you would. It helps me a little bit. And we'll see where this all goes. Thanks for watching.